The poem Introduction first appeared in Kamala Das's very first volume of poem, which was entitled Summer in Calcutta, which was published in 1965. This poem is wholly autobiographical and may also be labeled as a confessional poem. It is a confessional in the sense that Kamala Das here takes the reader into her confidence with confessional poems. This one shows Kamala Das's candor in her frankness in dealing with sex, with bodily functions. At the same time, it shows Kamala Das's capacity for self-assertion. Furthermore, we have here a poem of revolt against conventionalism and the restraints which society has been imposing upon women. Kamala Das's feminism or her advocacy of the rights of women clearly appears here. Thus, this poem reveals to us several aspects of Kamala Das as a poet. The poem is written in free verse in a colloquial style. That means a language that is used in a daily conversation, which appropriately allows the free flow of writer's thoughts and feelings. The poem is revealing of the poet, of her political knowledge, of her linguistic acquirements, of her physical growth, of the sad experience of her marriage, and of her quest for fulfilling love. What a critic named M.K. Nayak says of her poetry in general also applies for this poem. I quote, Kamala Das's persona is no nymphomania. It's no nymphophanic. She is simply every woman who seeks love, and she is the beloved and betrayed, expressing her female hunger. Kamala Das begins this poem by telling us that although she does not know much about politics, she knows the names of those persons beginning with Jawaharlal Nehru who have wielded political power in this country. She then describes herself as an Indian of a very brown complexion, born in Malabar, having the ability to speak 3 languages, writing actually in 2 languages and dreaming in the 3rd. Next, she speaks sarcastically about the many relatives and friends who used to advise her not to write in English because English was not her mother tongue. In fact, she takes such advisors to task for having given her this advice because she claims the right to speak and write in any language she likes. Kamala Das goes on to tell us that as she grew up from a child to an adult, her limbs swelled and hair sprouted in 1 or 2 parts of her body. Then she asked for love, what she got was a husband who performed the physical intimacy with her in the crudest possible manner. The husband's way of performing this act made her feel miserable. Everybody wanted to give some of the other advice to her. Her advisors urged her to do some embroidery or cooking and also to keep quarreling with the servants. They told her to call herself Yami or Kamala or better still Madhavakutti. They urged her not to pretend to be split personality suffering from a psychological disorder and not to become a nymphomaniac or a sex crazy woman. What she also means to say is that she is no different from other human beings, that like every other human being, she is sometimes sinful and sometimes pious, that she is sometimes loved and sometimes betrayed in love, that she has the same joys in life which others have, and that she suffers the same disappointment which others suffer. In this poem, Kamala Das has given us a self portrait and the anatomy of her mind, recounting the major incidents of her life and the experience which had affected her most till the time of her writing this poem. The poem is remarkable for its compression and for the compactness of its structure, even though it contains a diversity of facts and circumstances. The rules of punctuation have been fully observed. All the lines are almost of the same length. The words used and the phraseology show Kamala Das's talent for choosing the right words and putting them in highly satisfactory combinations. Indeed, the poem contains many felicities of word and phrase. Her brief picture of her husband's rough treatment of her is an outstanding example. I quote, "He did not beat me, but my sad woman body felt so beaten. The weight of my breasts and womb crushed me. I shrank pitifully." These lines also show Kamala Das's uninhibited manner of speaking frankly about physical intimacy and about her physical organs. So this poem is a document about a writer, an English Indian writer, talking in complete frankness. In this poem, an introduction, the poet explores her complex emotions regarding the system controlling her life and the lives of countless suffering women. She also has the experience to back up her assertions about freedom and oppression, as she played a critical role in the establishment of the Indian feminist movement. The whole collection in which this poem appeared, Summer in Calcutta, focuses on love and pain that follows betrayal. This poem begins with the speaker stating that she knows all the male leaders of India, and their names are a part of her, a tribute to their overwhelming power. This contrasts significantly with the lack of power she felt growing up and getting married at 16. She struggles with her identity and is finally able to step away from the traditional role of wife. Das describes the way that men are able to move through the world with a solid identity. They are allowed their choices and emotions. In the last line, she pushes back against this way of life by stating that she feels things that do not belong to the man she loves. She too can be I. Das explores powerful themes of feminism, equal rights, freedom, and marriage in this poem and introduction. This poem is a very clear feminist statement that advocates for free choice for all women. This is in regards to every aspect of life, but the poet puts a special emphasis on marriage. She compares and contrasts the role of men and women in society and explains for the reader how her life, the rules she is forced to obey, infringe on her freedom. Readers should be able to ask themselves while moving through the poem how, if it all the things Das is talking about apply to their own life. This is a 60-line poem that is contained within a single stanza. The lines range from 3 words up to the 11 and do not follow a specific metrical pattern. The poet also chooses not to use a rhyme scheme. The lines also vary greatly in length and syllable number.